So we have been working with your group functions in yesterday's class. So whenever you are working with your group functions, we have been seeing that the granularity levels of the data will definitely change according to the type of the function whatever you are fundamentally using. Now one thing you should always understand, when we implement group functions, the functions will start working taking the total data within the table as one single group, and whatever kind of whatever amount of values are there, that doesn't matter, the whole data will be produced as one single set of output and it will just give you one single level of information. But whenever we are working in any real-time implementations, data is always divided into multiple different number of categories. Means within one table you can always have the data in multiple different number of categories. Now one of the major area where your database can always help you is to categorize your data and start presenting the data to the end user with respect to the requirement of analysis what is expecting. For that we have one special kind of clause. We said there is nothing but the group by clause. Now when you are implementing group by clause, you should only remember one thing: your group by clause is always helping you only to categorize the information, not anything else. So suppose like you are having your data here with some department numbers from your EMP table. Now these are the total number of values that are fundamentally existing as far as our departments are concerned, in which employees are recruited. Now I want to see my categories with respect to this now. So I am saying department number from EMP, and I can directly say group by department number. The moment I said department number into the group, I am very clearly saying that try to find the classifications that are existing within this column called as department number, and it just gives me those classifications. Now here one thing is very clear: group functions are not demanding that you should have a group by clause, and when you are using a group by clause, it is not demanding that you should have a group function. These are two independent things. First you have to understand. So group functions independently you should understand first of all, and group by clause is the second thing what you have to understand independently. So the job of the group by clause is only to classify the data, nothing more than that. Now here, as I was just saying in yesterday's class, there are many number of cases where there is a debate that distinct and the group by are same just because the outputs are coming in the same way. Here distinct is always concentrating on suppressing the duplicates. Means distinct is more of presentation level thought process, but group by is not presentation level thought process. It is a concept of classification and identification of categories within the data. There is a great lot of difference between the fundamental concept behind group by and the fundamental concept of distinct. So distinct is for the purpose of presentation only, but group by is not for the purpose of presentation. Group by is for the purpose of analysis to the categories. Therefore group by has extensions, distinct has no extensions. Distinct is only for the suppression. Because you see the result of the group by and you see the result of the distinct to be same, don't put both of them into the same basket. Be very, very clear about that. Don't keep any time both of them into the same basket. They are totally different now. Now whenever you deal with your group by, anywhere you feel that you are having data that can be classified, you can call group by. So what I mean, you can just watch here. We are saying select job from EMP. Now it's a one-to-many relationship now. Now when you say it's a one-to-many relationship, then definitely you can always call from EMP group by job. So when you are saying group by job, you are very clearly saying that from this data, whatever I am having with me, classify the data and give me the classifications that are existing within that particular piece of the data. Even if million records are there, group by does this job very effectively. Therefore, when you implement group by, you try to understand one thing. These are 14 granules of information now. Now, definitely when group by is implemented, what is happening? The number of granules are changing. Now, it's 5 or 6, let us not worry. But group by is definitely changing the number of granules now. Therefore, group by has some limitations. If you don't catch those limitations of the group by, and if you are trying to work, group by can be confusing. So, there are certain guidelines when you are dealing with your group by clause. If the group function is included in the select clause, we should not use individual result columns. That is what 24 hours back we said. It means whenever I am having my group function within my particular query, if suppose say like, and I am executing it, it gives me a multi-granular data is taken, converted to a lower level or single granule. Therefore, whenever I am having a select statement which is containing a group function, along with this group function, if I use any kind of single row column, it automatically gives me an error. So, here this is what you are trying to see. This one is a group functional column. Don't forget the terminology. This column is called as group functional column. And what you are trying to see in this case is generally called as non-group functional column. We generally call this as non-group functional column or single row column. So when you are working with your group functions and group by clauses, these terms are very, very important. So whenever an error is coming, if you don't catch up with these terms, you can't know where the error is projecting. So the rule is very clear that if you are having any group functional column, along with that if you are representing any non-group functional column, definitely the query gives you an error. But real time says that definitely there is a necessity that group functions and single row columns should work together, because we get better analysis out of that. So the extra non-group functional columns should be declared within the group by clause. Whenever you are having any columns within your query which are non-group functional columns, they have to get into the group by clause, because group by clause divides the data into categories now. Whenever your group by clause is dividing the data into the categories, for each category independently the group function will work. I am making a point very clear. For each category the group function will independently works and tries to give you the rule of the data by proper analysis that is essential for the mid-level managers. So whenever you deal with your construct of the groups, there is no rule that everything in the group should participate. Whichever element in the group you don't need, you can exclude those elements using normal where clauses. What I mean, you just watch here. Here we are saying that we want the data by group of what? Jobs, which gives you all the jobs. But suppose say like, I am saying where job not equal to salesman, so I am saying that exclude that group and give me the remaining. So before your group by operation can take place, you can always specify what is that particular data that you want to exclude or you want to include before it's participating in the groups. So along with the group by clause, where clause can be implemented, but remember, before the group by clause only where clause has to be declared. You cannot declare the where clause after the group by clause. That position cannot be changed. Group by clause can work only on column names. Group by clause cannot work on aliases. And whenever you are dealing with the grouping comes under the fundamental mechanism of what? Mathematical implementation called as statistics. Whenever you are dealing with statistics, we always work with statistics by using what then? Whenever we are working in statistics, we always operate by using what? Samples. Before you operate on the samples in statistics, there is one very important rule you have to follow. What is that? Before you start operating on the samples that are available in the statistical implementation, there is one very important rule. What is that? Your sample has to be sorted, and then only you should use it in the statistical analysis. These are standard rules now. The same things are followed by Oracle. Whenever you are implementing group by clause, Oracle is definitely implementing the group by clause, internally sorting the data by ascending order on the column on which you are grouping. Means whichever column is participating in the group by clause, without your knowledge, the data in that column is sorted, and then the group by implementations are taking place. Means group by clause is always getting an extra overhead. What is that? Sorting of the data internally. The reason group by implementations can cost the performance of your application. Why? If the amount of sample is increasing, then definitely the net amount of time for sorting also increases and categorization also increases. But real-time mid-layer architectures or mid-layer managements need definitely what? Data to be classified. If classification of the data is not done, mid-level managers cannot take any decisions. So that is compulsory. You cannot avoid it. But remember one thing. In older versions of Oracle, the output of the group by clause used to come in sorted form. Means not only internally the group by clause is sorting, but when the output is produced, it used to produce the output by sorted form. But technically, when you are coming with the latest optimizers that are existing in the market, your group by clause may not produce the output by sorted form. So if you think that your data is not coming in sorted form, you don't need to worry, because internal operational sort is important in the algorithm. External presentation is not important here. You got your data in classification or not is very important. That's all. Therefore, sir, I am not getting my data in sorted form. Use order by clause and sort that. Don't raise any particular complaints. Are you catching the point? Be very clear. Therefore, understand this point what documentation says. So by default, rows are always sorted by ascending order of the columns included within the group by list. So the column applied upon group by clause, technically whenever you are implementing, need not be part of the select list. This last point, if you don't catch up very properly, fundamental confusions can be there. I am repeating once again, the column applied upon the group by clause need not be part of the select list. Means technically the documentation is saying this in one context. If you don't catch that context and blindly you operate on it, much lot of confusions will come when you're dealing with your group by clauses. So I just want to catch few more combinations for group by clause just for the sake of your convenience and confidence. Now watch carefully. We are just going with select to underscore char of, we are saying higher date, comma YYYY, and we are saying year from EMP. Now in 1 year we can recruit only one employee or multiple employees. So this is definitely what now? This is definitely a criteria and composition of a categorization data, yes or no? So you can just watch here. It's giving you the years by the recruitment. Means definitely I'm having classifications in this now. If I want the classifications out of this, I can always ask my Oracle by saying from EMP group by this derived column. So group by clause should contain a straightforward column is not a rule. If the need arises, you can call derived columns also and you can start classifying them. Therefore, these functions, if you are already clear, you will get your own ideas how to apply that. The same way, a year is a collection of multiple months, and in each month I can have my own recruitments or not? Yes or no? So, you just watch here, I am saying select to care of, I am calling the month, and we are saying from EMP. We are having multiple number of recruitments happening in certain months now. So it's categorizable or non-categorizable, you know. Categorizable. So you can definitely go and call down the process with group by this. So you are just saying that get me the classifications of my months. Now these are the areas certain questions will come where your interviewer says, please arrange these months in the order of January to December. Now whenever he says arrange the months by January to December, order by will give this. Now this is generally out of every 10 students, 7 to 8 students will do this mistake. Be careful. Forgetting one point that it is always going to work on ASCII but doesn't know January to December. Especially people giving experience, be careful. You are caught very quick. Now, here the other kind of students, what they do is, in the place of this month, they will give MM. MM written is always what? Numerical month. When I am saying numerical month, it should start from January to December. But where exactly Oracle irritates is this one. So generally these kind of errors, whenever they are coming, Oracle doesn't use any detailed explanation to that error. Only when you remember the rules with which it has to be applied, you can make a correction. Therefore, there are certain rules very seriously you have to follow when group by clauses will come. The reason 24 hours back I was saying, majority of the people may not like Oracle slowly from here. Because the first time you will be getting errors where you have to put your mind and correct the errors. They are not directly for syntactical states. So just try to understand few things now. I just want to go back and recollect with what you have learned previously. You are saying select ename, comma, department number, job, comma, sal, and we are saying from EMP. I am getting 4 columns of data without any kind of additional instructions. Now, I am saying from EMP, order by, I said salary. Any error gets executed. Commandment gets executed. So salary is the column on which the data is ordered. Now, I am writing the same query once again, selecting those 4 columns from the table called as EMP. Now I am saying order by employee number. Now employee number is in the projection or it's not in the projection? Not in the projection. Employee number column is there in the table or it's not there in the table? In the table. So because it's there in the table, I am using my column but it's not part of the projection. So my select statement executes or it gives an error now? It executes. So normal order by clause says that you can use any column that is part of the table, it need not be part of the projection. When I was discussing order by clause, definitely I was giving all these clarifications. So order by clause always looks for the column where, order by clause always looks for the column where it is in the table or not. It need not be part of the projection. Now, I am saying select department number. I am saying from EMP, group by department number. Now definitely I'm getting my groups that are identified, and on this I'm just going by saying order by department number. Now I'm using my order by clause upon a column part of the table, plus it is also part of the projection. So it should give me the output or any error now. It gives me an output definitely 10, 20 and 30. Now I am saying order by job. Now I am projecting which column? Department number. Now I am grouping which column? Department number. I am ordering on which column? Job column. Job is part of the table or not part of the table? Part of the table. Is job is part of the projection? No. Now as per the rule of order by clause, my query does what now? It executes, giving me the output by what? Output by what? Department numbers arranged by job. Arranged by job. Be careful now. Okay? That's how your irritation starts. And what the student does is, when this error comes, he'll go and open his book and he'll seriously practice what he did previously. And after that he'll try to practice this. It says, I will give you error only. He'll once again turn the pages and he'll practice what he did previously. He'll practice this. Once again it says error. Then immediately he'll think that Oracle acha nahi lag raha hai. And slowly that's how the things will happen. Be careful. Once group by clause comes into your query, the total query will be dominated after the group by clause only by columns of the group by clause. So your order by clause is getting influenced by the group by clause. Therefore, whenever you use order by clause, when group by clause is there, order by clause can use only columns that are part of the group by clause, not the table. A very, very important point, you have always keep it in your mind. So whenever you deal with your order by clause can contain any column from the table, but when the group by clause is not written. If group by clause is written, the answer called as any column from the table is wrong. Any column from the group by clause, not from the table. That's how your order by clause gets controlled. Be very, very careful in this area. That rule of the logic should be understood by you compulsorily. Therefore, you cannot order anything when the group by clause exists above the columns one group by clause is operating. I think the classification rules are definitely changing now. Whenever you practice, you cannot blindly practice. You have to only practice by these rules. That's what I'm saying. You follow blindly the material, you will get the subject. You are listening to the class, what you have recorded, and you are following the material. You will keep your concept clear. After the spool file is coming into your mailbox, you open the spool file and you practice once again. You will get the rules very properly to that particular concept. It's a 3-time practice for every single class. How you are doing it, I don't know. Starting classes itself, I told you. You have to first complete what is there in your material for that topic. Next, once again, you should complete by listening to what you have already been part of the class. Third, once again, after the spools come, you should keep your recorder and practice as per the spool. You just open your book and you start completing it, nothing will happen. Finally, my examples will contain clarification and detailing only from the class. In the material, you don't find any detailing. So very clearly I want to tell you, 70% of the material you cannot understand why I have written that particular query. You'll understand the subject, but you can't catch the concept behind the query, because concept is something I discuss in the class. So remember this rule, never forget this particular rule. The once group by clause comes, your query after the group by clause has to go always with the rules of the group by only. Sorry, understand the construct of order by rule now? No. A group can contain a subgroup or it cannot contain a subgroup. It can contain a subgroup. So generally when you are dealing with Oracle, Oracle also provides a subgrouping. What is that? I want answers from you. I am having department number in my table now. One department can contain only one job or multiple jobs. Multiple jobs. So, in analysis, if I am concentrating, department is the main group, job is the subgroup. Now, you just watch carefully. I am saying job, and I am just going with from EMP, and I am saying group by, I said department number. Watch carefully. How many columns are in my projection? 2. How many are in my grouping? 1. So whenever you are dealing with the construct of the group by, be careful in the rules now. How many columns you keep in projection, so many columns should come into group by clause. Be very, very sure about it, okay? How many columns you are keeping in projection, so many columns should become part of the group by. If your number of columns in the group by are less than what you are projecting and they are anything other than projecting, it is an error. So, you cannot project 2 columns and say group by 1 column. It's not acceptable. Be very clear. It can be any column on the process. It doesn't matter. It's an error. So, why you are getting that error? Is it clear? So, your projection to grouping should be always what? It should always be balanced. Be very, very clear about that. Are you catching the concept? Try to understand this particular factors very clearly. Second thing, I am keeping my department number and I am saying comma job and I am executing through the process. So it's giving me department wise, job wise as my data. So department number is becoming what? Major group, and job is becoming the minor group. Be very clear about the subgroup. Now, here we are working with order by clause. Now, I am saying department number. How many columns are in projection? 2. How many are in the grouping? 2. How many are in the order by? 1. Now, when I am executing this, what will be the reaction of my Oracle 1? It gives an error or it gives me the output now. It gives me an output. Any one of the column of the group by, not all the columns of the group by. I was using this word very clearly 5 minutes back. So when you deal with your order by clause, your order by clause when group by is declared should follow any one of the column of the group by. Any one of the column of the group by, it is not compulsory, all the columns of the group by. If you think that if department number is repeating and it's controversy, then keep another column which is part of the group by only, not anything else. So order by clause can contain one column or multiple columns? Multiple. But what is the rule? What is the rule? All these columns should be part of the group by. All these columns should be part of the group by. It cannot be anything other than the group by. Be very sure about this construct. So, practicing the query by understanding the situation is very important. Very important thing I want to tell you, when you practice your material, what happens is, these all errors will not be there. Why you will write a material with error, tell me? Actually, that is a way to write. But imagine we write a material with error, generally we get a wonderful feedback. The student will immediately give feedback that, pura galti deta hai bas. Now, why that particular headache for us? The guy who is part of the class, he may not give that feedback. There are people who pick up this particular material either from you directly or from somewhere else. You go on typing, errors will be coming now. This guy will think that pura examples error hi hai, kya karna hai. That guy cannot understand the error because he is not part of the class now. That why we should take the feedback, give the material in such a beautiful way. If you type it as it is, nothing will be an error. So student will just think that I am doing everything perfectly. Perfection is not important, and by what criteria of analysis you are getting the perfection. Your class makes a big difference, your material doesn't make any big difference. I am making it very clear to you. What has happened prior to this chapter, it's okay. Because prior to this chapter, we did not do any errors also. Why? Because we don't need to discuss about that. But from here, you miss that particular class. You have missed great lot of concept that is very essential when you're working in your projects. These are all not important for your interview rooms. So my concentration slowly moves into, can you make yourself comfortable when you are working in your projects? We are changing, I told you, we are changing our total mechanism now. So you have to be part of the class very seriously and work out on the issues. Remember them. The group by class is making change of the rules now, change of the rules. Now here, one of the other questions the student raised is, what is the order of my columns here? Department number and job. Sir, can I keep my group by in any other order? Columns should be available. Order does not matter anywhere. Okay, projection order is not important. Projection columns are important here. So, whenever you are working with the construct, you need to always understand these factors. Is it clear till here? Classification is not simple. Execution can look simple, but rules are very important, I am telling you. Now, let us just go with the next level. I am saying select department number, comma job, and we are saying from EMP, and we said group by only department number. We know that it's a error. Now, we also know that my projection is job, but my group is department number. This is also an error. I am saying this is basically group by department number, comma job in group by. Now in my projection, I am giving only department number. My question is, how many columns I am projecting? 1. How many I am grouping? 2. Are the columns in the group by are part of the projection? Are the columns in the group by are part of the projection? No. So what is the result out of this now? What should be the result out of this according to general rules? Error. Now be careful. Understand the question carefully. That's what you understanding my question is not important. Read the document carefully. Group by clause, see the way you are doing mistake is the columns in the group by clause are not part of the projection. I said columns, I never said all the columns. If I said all the columns in the group by are not part of the projection, yes. Columns in the group by are not part of the projection, no. One of the column is part of the projection. So you cannot make a comparison with this error to the criteria of this execution. Here how many columns in projection? 2. Here how many are in grouping? 1. Now technically how many you project, so many you should group. That's the rule. Second, here how many are in projection? 1. What is in grouping? Something that is other than the single what you are projecting. Therefore it is an error. You read the documentation in that last line. The column applied in group by clause need not be part of the select list. The rule is saying that the column applied in the group by clause need not be part of the select list. Reading that particular statement in the documentation, student will stuck up here. He'll say column participating in the group by clause need not be part of the select list, and he'll get an error. And generally the student will try 2-3 times without understanding the rule of classification, and he will think that material is wrong. The context of the author should be understood. That's why by the time you came to group by, are you a beginner man? No, you are already matured. So he never expects that point to point should be explained to you. That's how the documentation of Oracle is written. So you should do your standardized R&D. So whenever you design a select statement, all the columns existing in the group by need not be part of the projection. Any one of the column is there, it operates. But all the columns in the projection should be part of the group by. In my projection, how many columns are there? 1. So it is just definitely part of it. You cannot expect author to write all these permutations and combinations as rules. If that is done, it's technically going to be very difficult in documentation. See, people think Oracle, man. Do you know, if you really want to complete your Oracle, how many volumes? Oracle's official documentation to complete entire SQL and PLSQL with everything what it speaks is 18 volumes, man. Sitting in this market, not even 1 volume, totally you will complete. And I don't worry about freshers, but experienced people coming and saying that pura khatam ho gaya, that is where I get worried. Seriously, if 5 questions are asked in group by classes, out of 10, 8 people will get rejected. Because we speak on rules, you work with queries. So understand these rules first of all. Are you catching the point now? So, rule with respect to grouping, projecting, ordering, they should be synchronized and they should be understood very carefully. I am very specifically spending the time only to group by clause. Why? Because that will make a big difference in our thinking in the coming days. Every query I will not explain in this particular way once I am coming out of this process. So are you understanding these rules now? The same way you just watch here. I said job. How many columns in projection? Is it part of the group by? How many columns in group by? 2. All the columns are part of the projection? No. All are not part of the projection. But one of the column of the group by is definitely part of the projection. So, no errors. There was single column grouping, multi-column grouping have to be tested and you have to come to the conclusions. They may look very silly at this stage, but one error in group by, if you don't remember the rule, will cost you 1-2 hours. Be very clear. And if somebody, your friend is there, he is not aware of the rules. If you go and ask him, I am getting the error, he says, Mujhe bhi aa raha hai. That's how you'll find 10 people. You go and ask 10 people, I am getting an error, he says like, I am also getting the same error. Most probably we should not do like that. You ask me why we should not do like that. That's a fundamental thing. When I don't know the reason, what's the best answer? We should not do like that. No, why I should not do like that? I told you should not do like that. No, tell me why. I told you how many times I should tell you, man. If that guy is having short temper, he'll slap and he'll go away. Catch the rule. Definitely Oracle starts irritating you now. I'm telling you, definitely when you're not listening to the sessions. No way you can work out because we apply runtime rules now. These are all runtime rules. Be very clear about that. Be careful in catching up the rules. Now, let us go to the area where we left now. Okay? Actually, we start coming from an area that is to_care of. We said hire date, comma, month. This is our concentration. Finally, we have to do that, no doubt. Now, you are executing by saying from EMP and you are saying group by. Is saying what now? Group by this particular month. So, it gives you the months, but not by arranging from January to December. So he says, please get me from January to December. Normally what the student does is, he says order by, and once again I am repeating to show you, he keeps this month, forgetting one point that it's ASCII based and comes from April. Small mistakes you cannot know because in interview room presentation output will not be there, only white paper will be there. Now when your interviewer is asking, A student who understands this better, he thinks of doing this numerical month, forgetting the fundamental rule that order by clause has to follow the exact format of the column of the group by. So, when it can be successful, take this and make it part of the group by. Now, group by is having how many columns? Come on now, 2 columns. How many I am projecting? 1. Is it part of the group by? Yes. The order by is part of the column of the group by. Yes. Everything is synchronized. Start understanding SQL. Okay? I told you long back, everybody can learn SQL. Can we sit and understand? You are spending this much time, so I can take the liberty of giving you all combinations. If suppose a student is not having time, he says, I just want to learn Oracle faster, we'll give you 2 examples. Those 2 examples also, which examples, man? Which don't give any errors. And will only tell the student, this is group by. And the student also feels very happy when we give those 2 examples. The first example is, select department number from EMP, group by department number. This first example. And the second example will be job, and then we'll give group by and we say job. Student is also very happy because we can just tell him group by is so simple, you keep it. Now what happens to student, I'll tell you, because we understand the psychological state of student. He'll practice these 2 examples only 20 times. And then say the group by aa gaya. One day he will get some idea, and that day he will execute the group by, error will come. And he'll think that 2 mahine ke baad Oracle kaam nahi karta hai. Because after 2 months only your maturity starts, not immediately. From the classroom, maturity can never start until you don't spend your time. So the only thing what we did is, spending that 45 or 50 minutes of time with group by, we have been understanding group by with all its maturity rules. How best to remember them after the class, I don't know. But at least once that goes into your brain, when error comes, you'll recollect it immediately. So, group functions job is what? Calculate the aggregate. Calculate the aggregate. Treating the total data in the table as? Treating the total data in the table as one single group. What is the job of the group by clause? Classify the data and give the classifications on your screen. Are you getting? Or categorize and give the categories of the data. So group by does only the job of what? Categorization. Group function does the job of what? Aggregation. Can we make these 2 things to come together is the question now. Yes. Once we do this, what happens is, the group functions will become intelligent. Why? As many groups are found, so many number of times the group function will work automatically. So, before I detail it in tomorrow's session, I just want to execute one query and we want to go, okay? So, you just what we are saying, select sum of sal sum, and we are saying from EMP. This is giving you overall group of the summary. This investment is definitely invested by each employee and then it became aggregate, yes or no? Every employee belongs to one department. So department is a category in which my investment is taking place. Do you agree with me? So by each category of department, what is my investment? That is of cross comparison analysis. When your manager wants to do, group by clause can do the wonders now. Now the question where the confusion starts is, just now we said that all the columns in the projection should be part of the group by. How many columns are there in my particular projection? 2. How many columns are there in group by? 1. But in projection, What are the types of columns I'm having? I gave you two columns today. What are they? One is group functional column. The other is single row column or non-group functional column. So, all the columns in the projection should be part of the group by. Now the rule is changing once again. All the single row columns in the projection should be part of the group by, not the group functional columns. Your document never tells you so detailing. All the columns in the group projection should be part of the group. It means it's talking about only single row columns. That's how you should understand. 98% of the times, a beginner never likes Oracle documentation. Only after you become professional you like it. Why? Because you have experienced it, so when you read you like it. So, when your group by clause is coming, I think rules are changing very dynamically. What will be the problem is, all these days what happened, man? We said one rule and that rule was continuously same for 10 days to 15 days. Yes or no? Now just for today morning we started and we ended in 45 or 50 minutes. I think rules are changing very dynamically now. So what happens from now is, starting of the class I said this is the rule. Suddenly after 10 minutes I said no, that is not the rule. In the middle of the class I say you can adjust that rule. And suddenly when I am concluding I'll say no, you can't do like that. And finally I'll leave you with the confusion exactly what is the rule. And you will have your own confusions when you are practicing. Next day when you come, I'll extend the process once again. Now it is going to be decided how much you feel convenient with Oracle. It's time to put pressure on the neural system now. Now we will feel that we are people who can work with logic. You're coming along with me with confidence, you'll get that confidence. You don't come along with it, you'll feel somewhere losing your confidence. For that I can't do anything because your psychological state is not in my hands. So people who are not working, even now it's not too late, because there's a great lot of work to do with this in the later stages. It's just a starting, I'm telling you. I'm preparing you for my most complicated things, what we will do in the coming days. So tomorrow morning when I'm speaking with you, I'll integrate group function with group by clause. Now this much of discussion will not be there. Very quick it will happen. There will be some very good amount of load on your shoulders with the class what I am going to conclude in tomorrow's environment. Within 24 hours, please see that you are making yourself free so that you can take the extra weight onto your body now. Okay? Thank you once again, tomorrow with you.